I do remember more of the outside of the house because I spent a lot of time outdoors. But the breakfasts, Grandma would always cook breakfasts. I would see the school bus coming up the hill, running out to catch it out in front. I remember the carriage house quite a bit, and I remember going up and just sort of just exploring around. I remember going down to downtown and shooting pool at this little pool hall where it was 10 cents a rack, and they had pinball machines, and I spent a lot of time hanging out there. Walking around, just small town. To me, small town was very exciting and very interesting because being from the city, you know, this was sort of like the city mouse, country mouse thing, and I really enjoyed the small town atmosphere. It's funny, we were just driving in and we were looking at the same churches and the same walking into town, and Michele said, my God, it hasn't changed at all. The population is still the same. It seems to have been pretty much stuck in a time warp. It seems pretty much the same as it was. This particular house, especially because of Grandma, you know, Grandma Green Street Marjorie. Now that the house is available and it's haunted, I can see what needs to be done, and that needs to be to turn it into a haunted bed and breakfast, and hopefully a paranormal show, and featuring paranormal activities from other people and stories, and I think it'll be fun. All the pieces are there, it just needs to be solidified and moving forward with it, and that's what our plan is to do very quickly.
Well, I was born and raised in California, and when my mother married my stepfather, who was a ball player, I spent a great deal of time with my grandmother. And most of that time was spent here. I spent many summers here. From the time I was 6, 7. And I always loved to come and be here. I was very close with my grandmother. Huge inspiration in my life. Probably closer to her than any. And she's gone now, unfortunately. And coming back to this house is just bringing back so many memories. It's really emotional. It hasn't changed much at all. It's still Grandma's house. I saw her several times, actually. I was never startled by it, which might sound really odd, but I always felt very safe in this house and very comforted in this house. So when I was sleeping downstairs in this house by myself, my grandmother was upstairs at the end of the hall, I would get up and use the bathroom, go in the kitchen, never turn on a light. There was never any sense of fear, or I didn't feel threatened by her, but I did see her. And since I slept here, I can't tell you exactly how many times I saw her, but I do recall that this was the room I saw her in most of the time. At the foot of the stairs here, the room behind me, yeah. She was typically standing here, and she had long hair, and it was pulled back, and at this time, at this age, I thought she was old, but I guess right now she was probably 30, and she was long dress, and I always felt sad when I saw her. She felt sad to me. My first impulse was never to be afraid of her, but it was to feel sorry for her. She looked sad. She always seemed to have something holding in her hands. She seemed to be looking down quite a bit, and she always looked sad. It was, you know, dark. There were times that it wasn't. It might have been in an afternoon. You know, there was just a feeling of her around all the time in all the rooms. I didn't feel her outside. At the top of the stairs, I had a room here in the corner. At one time I stayed here, and when I was staying in that room, now that I'm thinking, it was always near the stairs. It would be at the top of the stairs, on the landing, or at the foot of the stairs, or here in the corner. Those were, as far as I can remember at this point, those were the places I saw her the most.
My name is Stephen Keithley. Moved here from St. Louis 19 years ago. I fell in love with the house, bought it as soon as I had the opportunity. And anyway, my wife mentioned from the first time that we moved in here that she felt the presence of a woman. It wasn't scary, anything. It was just a nice, warm presence of a woman, very friendly. One summer morning, 6 a.m., our master bedroom, I have a view of the landing at the top of this oak staircase. And there was a woman standing there, and she had on a white cotton nightgown. She had long dark brown hair, but her hair was pinned up to keep it off her shoulders. And she started down the stairs, and as she started, she took this white shawl and put it over her shoulders. And in the sunlight of the windows, I could see right through the shawl. It was very sheer, very beautiful design, and a lot of rectangular designs in it, and very expensive. She was very elegant, very graceful, very refined. She didn't have to use the handrail going down. She just kind of went right down the stairs very confidently. And it was a very pleasant experience. There wasn't anything scary about it. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't frightened any way or form. I knew that had to be the lady of the house that my wife had been experiencing for so long. You know.
There are many people out there who don't think these spirits are really a real thing, in fact, just fiction. So Bonnie, tell us a little bit about how in the world you got into this profession.
I'm clairvoyant and clairaudient, so I actually am able to see and hear. I get little motion pictures in my mind's eye.
Wow, okay, so tell us what it means to be a psychic detective.
Actually, it's an additional validation step that I go through that most people that have medium skills don't. And that is, I receive communication from a spirit person that may be in distress, something of that nature. I will then go through historically and research that person and see if I can validate the information that I got historically.